Hi team, good evening. We'll start session at 6 p.m. IST. Hi, Kanna, good evening.
Hi, bro. Good evening.
Good evening, Karthika. So let's wait for others to join. At 6 p.m. we'll begin the session. Hello, everyone. Hi, team, both Zoom and YouTube team. Good morning and also good evening. Thank you for joining today's session. First, I just want to cross check. Is my voice is audible? Can anyone confirm from Zoom team and also YouTube? Just a message. Is my voice is audible? Okay, fine. Thank you. Thanks for the reply. Yeah, thanks, Kangal, for the reply. So today, what is the topic we are going to see? The types of SDLC model. Totally, we have like 7 to 8 modules. In that, the most important modules, these four, and right now, this particular Agile, which will be taught as a separate class. It's a very big module. So we will see this later. So today I'm going to explain all these four modules. Definitely, a lot of interview questions will be asked from this area because it is not just in a year came almost for 2 decades. So many changes happened in the software development lifecycle model. So what's the difference between each one? And they give you a sample project. They tell you, okay, I want to develop this project and this is a medium size, large size. So which model will you choose? So that is how you will be evaluated. So we'll see this. Before that, a short recap on yesterday topic. So we understood testing launch failure. So many companies who didn't give importance to testing faced some issues when they launched the product. So we understood testing is one of the major important factor equivalent to development. And then our main objective is to break the product or find the fault. Whenever we say find the fault, what we should remember, we have to test as per the requirement and make sure the actual and the expected conditions are same. Actual results should be equal to expected results. Everything according to the requirement. And we have manual testing. If you do it manually and then using automated tool, automation testing, and software development lifecycle, where we have seen all the levels like how we are going to analyze the product, gather information, and then we will design. Architectural design will come, wireframe we will be designing it, and module wise we will be coding it. Then unit by unit, module by module testing will be done. Then we will integrate, and finally SIT, system testing will be done, and it will be demo will be given to the customers clients. Once they accept it, approve it, we will deploy it, and finally we will maintain that project. So this is what in every SDLC, this the same steps only it will be done, but the approach is only going to be different. So I'm not going to explain this again and again. This part you can refer yesterday's video, that is day 1 class video. And we saw 7 testing principle, that how early we start testing this going to save a big amount, and depends upon the domain we have to apply the testing concepts. So that's why it takes context dependent. Testing is context dependent. We cannot test all the scenarios, so exhaustive testing is not possible. So testing technique we should apply. Defect clustering, that we have to identify the critical modules where more defects are raised. That module we have to start testing first. And pesticides paradox, we have to keep update our test cases, either it's a sanity, regression, or smoke testing. We should keep updating that. And then if we tested according to the requirement and there is no defect, means we can't say it's 100% defect free. There will be some hidden bugs. So, and we also make sure we test everything according to the requirement. So this is what we learned yesterday. And today this same SDLC model can be done like 5 ways: waterfall, iterative, spiral waterfall model, I missed that word, V module, which is also called verification and validation model, agile model. Mostly in organizations, this V module, agile, rarely waterfall is also used. These two are equally important. So we must know what is the plus and minus of every framework. I have a materials, I'll be uploading it in the Canvas portal. You can refer that. So first one is waterfall model. So you can understand it's like the shape of waterfall, right? This is how a waterfall will come from top to bottom. That's why it is called as waterfall model. See, so one of the earliest and most straightforward SDLC model. It follows a linear and sequential approach to the software development. So in other sense, what we can say is same all the steps which we discussed earlier. First, it starts with the analysis, then requirement specification document will be created. Based on that, architectural design, wireframe will be done, then module-wise development, unit testing, integration testing, deployment, maintenance, same thing only. But in waterfall model, what clearly it is defined as until you complete this, you cannot start the requirement phase. It means first we have to complete analysis. Once this is fully completed, remember it is fully completed, then only you can begin with the requirement specification. Again, once this requirement is done, then only you can go for the design. Once the design part is done, then you can go for development. And then all the development is completed. For example, you have 50 requirements, all the 50 requirements are completed. Then only we can start the testing. So again, after testing, defect life cycle, then deployment, maintenance. So that's what they say here. Each phase must be completed before moving on to the next one. And this is in the shape of waterfall. That's why it is downward phases. So it is called as waterfall model. And there is no going back to the previous one. See, you cannot go from design to requirement specification again. The reverse is not possible. And in 1970, you can understand how old this particular model is. So most of the software products are follows this one. It has so many plus and also minus, advantages and disadvantages. So let's see what are all the advantages and disadvantages. Before that, when someone talks about or discuss about a waterfall model means one point, that is the first high priority answer you should mention, like each phase must be completed before moving on to the next. So it means without completing this, you can't go to the next one. So one by one only you can do it. No parallel task. So that is how it is followed in waterfall model. So now what is the biggest problem? So many problems are there. One of the main problem is cost. Defect fixing cost is very high. Why? Because if you see this model, when development, after development only QA team, testing team comes into the picture. So in real time scenario, maybe like 6 to 8 months, the development will go. After that only QA team is coming inside, that they understand the requirement and start doing the testing. So we are not, the testing team was not involved in any of these phases. Okay, what if the requirement itself error? Requirement itself error and they developed a wrong product. Later it is found in this phase means, then you can imagine the rework. So we come in the later part. So that is one of the biggest drawback, because we're going to raise more defects in the SIT. So it means what? Fixing of defect in this particular phase is going to be very high. But suppose if QA team was there in the requirement phase itself, if we found all the defects here, means definitely here it's going to reduce. So that's the biggest problem in the waterfall model. So what they say is relative cost to fix based on the time of detections. That is the problem with the waterfall model. Main problem, we have so many problems. What I have explained is one of the problem. And let's try to understand the first advantages. Definitely everyone going to ask what is it, maybe they ask what is the pros and cons of this model, why you want to use agile model, why agile is better than waterfall, agile is better than V model. So these types of questions only will be asked in the manual testing interview mostly. So suppose if you are from the automation, I will tell you in which part they will focus more, mostly agile and defect life cycle. We'll be seeing that very soon. So first, I try to understand the advantage of waterfall model. First one is simplicity. Simplicity means it's straightforward. First, we have to do level 1. Then once you complete that analysis, requirement understand, design. So it's very simple. Everyone can understand this is how the roadmap needs to be followed. And then clear documentation. To be frank, the documentation time which the team spend will be more than coding. Such an very detailed documentations will be prepared. So what's an advantage if we have a good documentation? Definitely in future, it is going to be more useful for future project, future updates, everything. So very clear documentation. And then well-defined milestone. So in before starting the project itself, we will know, okay, these are all the requirements. I'm going to start the day, this day, and going to complete on a particular day. Those target dates will be clearly defined. And it is reduce the ambiguity. And what is that? For example, here when we think about the requirement change may not happen after or in the middle of here. For example, they set some requirement in the starting stage only, the client will come into the picture. So they will not come and ask, can you change this one, that one during the phase of development or testing? A very less interaction with the customers. So there is no big issues with that. So it reduces the ambiguity. And what is most important one is here, it is suitable for small scale project with stable requirement. Stable requirement means a project knows, yes, this is what the requirement I want to do it. Very crystal clear. There will not be any change in the requirements once the development is started. And as I already said, client involved in early stages, that's an advantage. They are saying like that. Of course, they will not come and disturb in the later part. And it is well separated. Every phases of the project is well separated, and we have very control over the scope and the cost. In sense, yes, this many days testing, this many days deployment. We have a control over everything, every level. If you have such a control, means obviously cost also will be in our control. So these are all the advantages. So mainly advantage, it's a straightforward, simple, very good documentation, and then it's suitable for small scale project with stable requirement. These 3 points you should always remember. These is an advantages. Now comes disadvantage of this particular waterfall model. Rigidity in requirement. It means they're fixed. Yes, this is a requirement, means that is little bit issue when you fix a particular requirement and later updating is not allowed, means it may end up in a wrong direction. Maybe what if that was wrong? What is, there is no feedback system. Feedback system makes a developer to understand in what they are working. but such things are not there. So that's what rigidity in requirements and limited user involvement. In the starting stage only, users will come, but we may get a lot of questions as during the course of development, testing. So what about that time? We'll not have any point of contact at that time. The customers will not disturb them. So very less interaction means definitely we are going to end up in some mistake. And late testing and feedback. Remember, this is the most important. And if this interview question is asked by a customer, means you should not tell this point. Customers will never involve in this. So understand who is asking this question. Accordingly, you should answer the disadvantage. That's why specifically I'm saying some answers you can tell to everyone. Some answers you can't tell to the concerned person. So in simple, late testing. That is, we are not coming in the starting part. We are came little bit late in the testing phases, and the feedback also we are getting after maybe like 8 months. You're getting a feedback means how it will be, and no early deliverables. So you have to wait for months in order to see the working product. Difficult in handling changes. So you handling changes in sense. Suppose in this model, already you have created all the document, architecture diagram, development, testing. Now, in the demo stage, they says like, can you please go and change this one as that one means? Remember, you have to change the design, documentation, and how to test it in multiple environment. So that literally complex the SDLC model. That is what the biggest drawback. Difficult in handling the changes. And there is no prototyping. For example, as a customer, someone is paying me for almost 8 months. In between, I'm not even showing how the product will be. Just imagine you give a money to build a house. They are saying, no, I will not show the home. After completing, I will show the home means how it will be. So that is what you can correlate here also. At the end, after you complete the project, only the customers can see that. So this is one of the biggest drawback. And this drawback is in all the models. And documentation, again, as I already said, it occupies a lot of time of developers and also the testers. So literally, I have seen it. In order to test some 20 test cases, it will not even take more than an hour. But to create that, it takes days. So whether we need such an extensive documentation, these problems and all, it is solved in the agile. You will be seeing how this agile became very famous and it just changed every model. That time when I explain, you will get some clarity about that. So advantage, again, I'm saying it is suitable for small scale project, everything well defined, clear documentation, and then control over the project. So without completing one thing, we can't go with the other thing. Very stable requirement. Drawback, later we came testing in the later part. So deferred cost is also going to be high. Requirement changes are not allowed. There is no prototype and too much of documentation. So rather too much of documentation, actually, that is not the right English word. When you explain, you should say it is going to occupy more time for document creation, especially in interview. This is additional tip I'm giving. When you're going to explain something, don't use negative words. Here I just said just like that, but remember, you have to tell it in a very professional way. No pinpointing mistakes on any person, developer, customers, or model, what or company, anything. You have to tell it in a very polished way. Then, when can you use this model? So this is what the famous interview questions. You are saying this many plus and minus. Is it really used? Yes. If it is small and well-defined project, we have a very good fixed, clear requirement, and everything is client driven. So client already came and said, see, this is a 10 requirement, go and start the development. That's it. Fully driven by the client, customers, regulated industries, very low risk tolerance. So it means what? If you're going to work on this particular project, that project should be low risk in sense some project will not have more risk. For example, yesterday that flight automated system is having high risk, medical project high risk project, but e-commerce insurance project may not be that much. So very low risk tolerance, and you not, some customers are not involved too much, very less interaction with them, and you want to complete this within the fixed deadlines, then this is the best. And where some sample project you can see here: library management, payroll, inventory management, flight booking, personal finance, attendance tracking, hotel reservation, HR recruitment, time tracking, student information. See, is there any here risk means? No. It's all very, very simple, straightforward requirement. So because here things will not change us. That is why this is one of the best. So 1 minute team. First one is 10 waterfall model. Waterfall model, it is in the shape of waterfall. That's why it's called waterfall model. Without completing one particular phase, we can't move on to the next phase. That's the thing. And main point, testing is start in the later part. So cost of errors or defect is quite high. Advantages, so many advantages. Drawback, when to use, especially small scale, well defined requirement, low risk project, less customer interactions, and projects with fixed deadlines. So all the applications we can put it into waterfall model, where customers feedbacks also used very less. If you go and book your flight, you're not going to give your feedback directly from to just like that you're going to book it. And timesheet in our company, weekly once only we will use it. Friday, filling your timesheet, monthly once, monthly timesheet. So here it's the requirement is straightforward. Hotel reservation, yes, these many rooms, okay, book it. So there is no risk involved here. Very, very straightforward. Okay, that's about the waterfall model. So Zoom team, you can put it in text message. You all got an idea about this, and also YouTube team, please ping me. Everyone clear about waterfall model? Okay. And are you guys getting any background sound, TV sound or something like that? No, right? Okay. Cool. Thank you for the replying. Okay. Now we will move on to the next one. That is called iterative model. Actually, this is what in the later part it is converted into agile. So if you understood this now, almost the last module is going to be easier only. So iterative model means what? Again, it's an SDLC approach. So when we see with the diagram, it will be easier. 1 minute team. Okay. See here. Before, let's understand, for example, if we have 50 requirements, means in waterfall model, all 50 requirements will be developed, followed by testing, and then release will come. Okay, this is what waterfall says. Here, what happens is, in the waterfall model, what two major problem. One is later testing, that is a problem. Then another change in requirement. So it means there is no proper feedback. These two problems, they found it in waterfall. So what they did in the iterative, instead of working all 50 requirement in a single go, they will first take like 10 requirement. So first, there are some stages which is going to be only once, initial planning only once, deployment, maintenance only once. But this planning, okay, they will take 10 requirement. They will plan it, analyze that, and then code. They will go for the coding, unit testing, and then SIT. Then what will happen? 10 is completed, defects are raised. Now, by the time you complete, just imagine what is the thing is you will have a prototype. That is also one of the biggest thing. And maybe some of the requirements will be updated. So requirement changes. By the time now you have a 40, right? 40 requirement, maybe in this 10 requirement may be updated. Customers will come and say, so now that is not going to be an issue in this model. Then 10, then 10, then 10, then 10. Once all 50 requirement is completed, then only it will go for the deployment. So instead of giving the entire product in a single go, okay, I will change the word. Instead of developing all 50 requirement in a single go, they are going to develop iterative, bit by bit, portion by portion. That is what iterative model. So it's it's a repetitive cycle of development, testing, and refinement. Refinement means what? The feedbacks or change in the requirement. That is what we say. Updating the requirement. It can be said in any way. So each cycle or iteration, we can say, build upon the previous one, and software gradually evolves to meet the desired functionality. As I said, 10, 10, 10, like that, gradually it is getting evolved. For example, first they will develop home page, then login page, user account page. In the next cycle, they will develop payment page. Like that, bit by bit, it's going to happen. And the remaining phases, see this development, testing, refinement only going to be in an iterative process. But the big planning was, yes, this all 50 requirements, we have it. And when the customer is going to see here, again, the deployment and maintenance is only once. So this model allows incremental development. This is the keyword. When they ask iterative model means, say this word, incremental developments. So we are going to add the requirements step by step. So this provides a flexibility and accommodate requirement changes, because in order to complete this just development phase, let's assume like 3 months, by 1 month, you will complete some X test case. Still in 1 month, so many requirement changes will happen. So they can come and update the test case. So that is one biggest problem is solved here. So that's what iterative model. And another diagram. So for example, build one, first few requirements, it's tested. And then build two means they are adding few more requirements to the existing one. Like this is 10 test case, this is 10 test case. Like that, they keep adding it. Once all 50 is done, then what they will do? They will go for the demo, success, go for the deployment, followed by the maintenance. I hope you all got better clarity. That one word, incremental development. Advantages. Flexibility to accommodate changing requirement. This was the problem in waterfall model. We know that very well. But now that problem is resolved. And again, continuous improvement and enhancement of the software. Because see here, you're going to add or develop bit by bit. In sense, you're going to get the feedback. So based on the feedback, continuously you can improve it. And again, early identification and resolutions of the defects. So we can able to identify by testing first if 10 requirement itself, you will find some defect. Okay, that is resolved. Now adding another 10 requirement. Now you find a defect means what that mean? Maybe first 10 is perfect. Adding of a new test case only caused some problem. So it is going to be easy for the development team to go and fix it. Early identification, resolution of defects, very easy. active involvement and collaboration with the stakeholders, nothing but the customers, because change in requirement is going to be set by the customers. Definitely, they're going to involve everywhere. And early availability of working prototype for user evaluation. This is what important. See, understand between the prototype and the live application. So here, this implementation, what they mean. See here, sorry, this implementation this is like they will implement, okay, 10 test case they have done. They give a prototype. Prototype means, see, your home page, login page, customer page is like that. We will give them a URL. Now customer, user will go and log in, try it. Yes, this is good. Why can't you move this particular feature to the next screen? Like that, we will get the feedback. And again, we will keep working on the new requirement or updated requirement. So in the waterfall, we are going to see the application after 8 months only. The demo you're going to show after completing all 50. But here we are seeing a prototype. Like that, all the prototypes in maybe 5 demos or something like that, depends. And once it is done, finally deployment. It means live environment, production environment. It can be seen by anyone. So that's the minute difference. And again, it is also having a disadvantage. Since we are having multiple iteration, it increases the complexity also. Chances of that. Complexity of the project means suddenly you're adding some 10, and then when you're going to add one more 10, and that is definitely going to be more chance for increasing the complexity, adding a code into that. And scope, if requirements, see, this is actually, it's a very good model, but if you're not properly maintaining the requirement, so the potential scope creep if requirements are not well managed. So we have to be very careful with the requirement, or else no use of implementing the iterative. Better we can use waterfall itself. That's what they indirectly says. And requires customer active involvement throughout the development. Actually, very frankly, in real-time project, we will face very tough to go and find the customer's appointment. If you go and you have some queries, as means it's not like you go and ping, hey, I have a query like this, could you please resolve? It is not possible. The on-site team, that timing will be different. We have to ping and ask, is the right time? Then I want to schedule a meeting. Is that okay? Then before going to the meeting, we have to consolidate all the queries. So the dependency on the customer is very high. So that's what requires active involvement by some of them will be so proactive. Customers will involve in development. They give a lot of feedback. Some of them may not be proactive. So this is drawback. Depends on the person. And resource and time constraints for managing frequent iteration. Actually, while working in this type of project, team will be little bit, what to say, stressed. You must keep adding it, doing testing continuously. See, in waterfall model, this is development will be there, QA will be there. In while doing development, QA team will be free. While doing testing, development team will be free. This is something in real time. Once I worked like 3 months, I was simply sitting idle because development is going on. Then like 2 weeks, we will have to work 4 hours. It's not like 8 hours. You have to work day and night and complete the project. At that time, development team will be free. This frequency, you will not get it in iterative because you will be involving with the development team. They will be keep giving you some test cases. So it time constraint. It's very tough to manage. And in addition to your work, you have to create the documentation. You have to keep tracking of evolving the requirements and the design changes. So updation is quite tough part. And all this is not done by the customer. We have to do it. See, all the pain point of what I am saying, everything is resolved in the agile. So this is the drawback of iterative. When you can use an iterative model is when you are not clear about the requirement. That's what evolving, or some requirements going to increment step by step, not clear about the final product, like that. And which is having high risk management, especially like projects like research project and all. I'll be showing that. And a complex project, the project is complex, user driven, it needs to be driven by the user based on the input. And rapid, you need to see how the application will be, and to validate that we need a prototype. R&D project, most of the companies R&D project, they will use this. For example, you are creating a medical app for physically, uh, they can able to see, and the app can able to translate in the voice. See, on a just like that, you can't go and launch a product. So you have to work with some patient, get their input, you develop something and give it to them, ask them to test it. So this is something like an iterative way. High risk management, R&D project, it's a long term project, you can't be done just like that. It needs to be improved continuously. One simple example, medical product, so many devices are there for some of them. If you go and Google it, if some person can't see it, we have something called AI glasses. And some can't hear it, so many vibrate twice, they will say what is happening in front of you. So many things are there. It is not like a single day product. For years, this is going to add value to that application. Continuous improvement, long term project, collaborative development. And this, for making this, you it's enough less team member. So if we have a limited resource, less number of people and budget, we'll go for it. Mostly Indian companies will not follow this because we have a lot of resource. So mostly waterfall model or V model only everyone would have worked. Very rarely iterative is followed. Additional information, sample projects like social media platform like Instagram, Facebook. It's not a fix. It's not, some days if you have seen Facebook, in right side top corners, some new suggestions came. Suddenly they are saying like this is not the right way. Then advertisement came. After that, chat came. Then it came up with some active can be disabled. See, it is like incremental way. If something based on the customer's input, if you want to do it, then iterative is better. Mobile application for healthcare monitoring. Yes, this is one of that, because patient says their feedback that needs to be taken into the consideration. Online shopping, CRM, project management tool, and educational apps, travel planning, software for home, smart home IoT applications. So wherever so much of customers involved, their feedback involves, then we have to go for iterative model. So that's the second one. What we have seen, first one is waterfall model. The two problem with the waterfall model is, one is QA coming at the later part. Due to that, cost of fix is very high, and you are going to see the product after many months. So this is the main problem. Now, after many months and requirement changing cannot be done, three main problem. That two problem resolved now. Now you can keep changing the requirement in the iterative model. You can see the prototype, but you have to wait for till all the product to see it as a live to all the customers. Okay, this is done. Put a text message, Zoom team, all good. YouTube guys. Satyadeep, Ashish, thanks for reply. Okay. Fine. Now comes the third one, spiral model. Spiral model is a combination of what we learned the waterfall plus iterative. So W plus iterative and waterfall model. Just now we learned, because this is having some drawback, this is having some drawback. When we merge it, definitely it is going to helpful for us. Spiral model, specifically how it works is, the keyword is risk management. See, risk assessment and mitigation throughout the development process. Very, very high sensitive, complicated, complex, long-term project, they will use spiral model. Very rarely we will get an opportunity, whether the IT company is going to work with defense project, very rare, very, very rare. What about healthcare project? Possibilities are there. So, which is having too much of risk. Mostly the product-based company, remember product-based company, they will follow the spiral model. So you're going to apply a job for product-based company means you should have a better idea, understanding about spiral model. Keep that point in mind. So the follows a series of repeating cycles called sprints, each involving planning, risk analysis. See, risk analysis, how much risk is there, engineering and evaluation, nothing but development and testing. So see, it's like a spiral one. No? So what exactly happens is, first, they will start with the requirement analysis. Okay, what is the we got some few requirements, and for that they will try to check. First, they will analyze the requirement, and then based on that, they try to create a proof of concept. Means, okay, this is how the product should be, like a prototype. It will be like this, and once you get that, analyze the risk, then add some system requirements to that. You're going to add a logical design. Then, in sense, you're going to, for every phase, see every phase, how much risk is there. Risk is calculated. It's a very big formula. You can Google it. But every model, like first build, second build, final build, means you're going to increment, because I already said waterfall plus increment. Increment means iterative means we are going to do development step by step. Same thing, but what does that thing is, you, for example, out of 50, it's not like in a sequential 10, 10, 10. You're going to take top 10, which is having high risk, the best top priority one, which is going to, if you consider web application of, okay, e-commerce, which is having more risk as payment. That is the most risk thing. So like that, they will do a little bit of POC, proof of concept, means a sample application. They keep adding it, they keep checking all the risk. So they will identify 4 level: design, construct, evaluate. In that, they're going to add little by little: logical design, physical design, final design. It's not directly I'm going to give the final product. So this is called spiral model. And the advantage of spiral model, as I already said, risk management throughout the development process. So they used to calculate the risk part. Flexibility, incorporate changes, improvement in every cycle. Change in requirements are allowed. Early identification or mitigation of potential issues. So it means what? You're going to add some 10 test cases or 4 requirement, test it parallelly, identify the defects early, get the feedback. Same thing, iterative model only. But here it's exactly same as iterative model, no big difference, but everything is based on the risk management. And again, continuous feedback allows extensive use of prototype, not just 1 or 2. Everything first to show me the application, prototype, and then things will work out. And requirement can be captured more accurately. They give more focus based on the risk, means definitely the requirement analysis will be in depth. Most of the defense project and all will fall under spiral model. And of course, product-based companies, a particular product they will follow this spiral model. And the problem with this, sometimes it will end up in infinity thing. It means you cannot complete the project. Sometimes it will go in a wrong direction if not properly managed. And development can be divided into smaller parts, and the risk parts can be developed earlier, which helps in better risk management. So any application you take, definitely some of the components going to be risk. So that thing they will consider as a first development. So just changing the requirement based on the risk. That is what in short about the spiral model. So this is all the advantages. Disadvantage, it's too complex, overheaded, and this will resource intensive. The person who going to work should be expertise. Lot of works needs to be done. Very good in-depth knowledge about the product. Many things are there. Again, here also documentation burden. In addition to your coding, you have to do the documentation. It will not suit for small scale project. Potential scope creep. So these are all the drawbacks of spiral model. So when we can use such project is when the project is complex, large scale project, and you're not sure about uncertain requirement. In simple word, requirement keep changes. That's what they say. Uncertain or evolving requirement means requirements will get updated, which is having a very high risk, and customer involvements needed, research and prototype. See, whatever the advantages of waterfall and iterative will come for spiral, obviously, right? But waterfall is for small scale project. Iterative is for complex project. So now it can be done long-term project, continuous improvement. Of course, when change the technologies is going to changes frequently, then I will choose for the spiral model. That's why product-based companies will follow this. Now, again, everything is replaced by agile. If you already know these terms, fine. Your first time listening this QA means, what does this agile means? Wait for a while. That is one of the best SDLC model right now used in all part of the IT companies. Sample project, risk-based, see, healthcare system. So risk, R&D. So this isn't all, this will come. So healthcare project, space exploration, trading platform, you know, how important this disaster management, then online learning platform, not that much risk, but still aircraft control system. You can understand yesterday only we saw that Boeing error issue. I think they missed something, risk properly not calculated or not properly tested. So this is all the places where spiral model going to play a very big role. So we are done with three model: waterfall, iterative, spiral. YouTube guys and Zoom, please put a text message. Is everyone clear about all these three model? I'm waiting for your reply. Okay, thank you. Joseph, hi. Varsha, hi. Good evening, guys. I hope you all listening. If you have any queries, you can post a message. Okay, let me move on to the next topic, which is the most important one. Right now, even now, in all the IT companies, they use V model. The next one. So the V model, again, it's an extension of waterfall model. So waterfall model is the basement for everyone. Initially, we learned waterfall. Then we learned iterative. After adding this, we came up with spiral model. Now waterfall extension only V model. So if you understood V means, it's more than enough. So what exactly this V? It is also called verification and validation model. So it is like shape of V. See, V model. In Waterfall, what is the problem we have? QA came at the later part. This was the problem. Now, because of this, many issues with cost wise issues, requirements not identified properly. So many issues were there, right? Now, what happened? This is dev team. This is QA team. For every phases of development, testing team also will be involved. Trust me, definitely they will ask, could you please explain V model if you're going to be a fresher? So understand about this. So extension of waterfall model where each development stage corresponding to a testing phase. Literally, it gives importance of testing at every step of software development process. So whenever a development team involves, for every discussion, testing team also will involve. So it's a V-shaped formed by the relationship, each development phase and corresponding testing phase. I missed that point. Maybe, no, it is not there. Actually, that is called verification. See, verification means you're checking the requirement is properly developed, and validation, whether it is properly tested. Verification and validation, VV. Okay. Are you getting any background sound? It's a weekend, so some sounds you'll be getting. Zoom team, are you getting it? No, right? Okay. Then I'm using good mic. By chance, if you're going to get a lot of disturbance, please put the text message. Then I'll help you on that. Hi, Joseph. What was the link of Zoom? I think it's for paid members. You can ping to my WhatsApp. I will share you all the details. Okay. Verification. See, you're going to get a requirement from the customers. So now the customer is going to explain about the requirement. At that time itself, development team will come, testing team will come. Development team will think about the architecture diagram, how many interfaces, how model should be, how the flow of data should be. They used to think about it. Now testing team, okay, final as a user, how this is going to come in production. Then if it is based on a system based testing, if it is an architecture design, how it is going to be integrated, how integration testing will be done, and unit testing. Actually, to be frank, till this the dev team will be coming. This unit testing is comes under the testing side, no? So they mentioned like this, but from here only the QA team will come. Yesterday itself I said unit testing will be done by the dev team only. So same thing only it is going to happen, but what they tweaked is every phases. So in the day one itself we will know 50 requirements. Accordingly, what we will understand, okay, this is a domain, we will improve our domain knowledge, and what are all the test scenarios we are going to test it, and all the things we will do it. 1 minute team. Okay, fine. So that is what the system testing architecture design. Yesterday we have already discussed same thing. So every parallel level testing will be done. 1 minute team. Okay, team. And small message I have to drop. So what is an advantage here? So one of the biggest problem is early testing. That problem is resolved now. So early detection of defects. If you're going to now in the requirement itself, we will find the defect. So it is going to save a lot of time, cost, and also the development team will able to develop or code better product because of identifying the defects in system. Okay, they say that this is the system, two system going to be integrated in as a testing point of view, whether it is properly tested or not. Third party application, whether we need access for that. So like that, so many complexity will be discussed here. So this going to be a big deal. Early detection of defects. Again, very good documentation because it's an upgradation of waterfall model. And thorough testing approach. Everywhere testing only. Very easy to manage. And it's an aligns testing with the development. So definitely the product quality going to be good. Clear documentation, early testing, thorough testing approach, easy to manage and align testing with development. And when we talk about the disadvantages, again, see, iterative model only, the change in requirement came, but this is an extension of waterfall model, right? Still the rigid in requirements, because instead of doing like this, you're doing like this, but still the customers in the starting part and the ending part, here the starting part, here ending part, it means no big feedback. So that's a biggest problem. And very high dependency on documentation. You may think everywhere this documentation means, yes, if you're going to execute a test case for 10 times, for all the 10 times, you have to take a documentation for every step. If 20 step, 20 screenshot needs to be placed. So it's a quite complicated one. Okay. Yeah, I read the message. Thank you. Rigid and so high dependency on documentation and limited adaptability. Test incompleteness and expensive to correct errors. By chance, after following this everything, you going to get an error or defect in the production means very high fixing cost. And that's what we are saying. And limited to adaptability means if there is no change in requirement, right? So we can't get very less scope for requirement update and test incompleteness. So these are all the drawbacks or disadvantage of V model. When we can use V model, if it is between small to medium. Actually, small size project waterfall came. Now we can go till medium with the help of V model. Mostly all the IT companies involved with a medium size project only. And when you can start this project, again, the requirement is clear. If it is a clear, well-defined and stable requirement, emphasize on early testing, validation. So testing going to start in the early part, and then it is again sequential and linear development. One by one things going to happen parallelly. This time, some linearly testing team will do some task. Same way, development team will do some tasks. So project with specific standard, compliance. Compliance means if you consider most of the US projects and all, compliance, some rules and regulations, process, documentations, approvals. The coding is going to be easier, testing going to be easier, but getting approval for different stages. So that is what all this will come here. Specific standard complaints requirement, limited changes to the requirements, very less scope. If that's the case, then I'll go for the V model. And user involvement also very less. Then for me, documentation is important. Then they will go for the V model. So sample project, again, whatever we learned in waterfall, that will come for V model. E-learning, reservation system, supply chain management, online retail, banking system, almost all IT companies project will be following V model only. Some mobile development project will follow the waterfall model. So mobile app development in a single go, they create Android or iOS app. They develop it. Once the development is done, then only it will be given to the testing team. So we will never involve any of the discussion at that time. Mostly mobile apps related project, they will use this type of waterfall. And again, sensitive projects like healthcare projects, they will use this. And the insurance, health, banking, BFS, banking and financial services, telecommunication, retail, for everything, V model is self-sufficient. So these are all the 4 types of models. And okay, is everyone understood all the 4 types? All good. Put a text message, guys. Okay. Fine. Okay. So now comes all 4 done. This one again will go for the next class, levels of the testings. So as I said in the starting itself, today we are going to focus about all 4 types of totally 5 agile. So in agile, all these problems will be solved. Like we will be seeing live product in the early stage, very less documentation, requirement changes are allowed. We will be interacting with the customers, more importance given to the development team, testing team. And we have very good interaction with customer. Will have a point of contact, someone called product owner, so we can interact with the person and understand the requirement. So whatever the problem of every model, I think it's like 16 or 12 developers around the world, they created a community. They just came for a meeting in US and they decided, see, this is a problem for the customer. These are all the problem as a developer. These are all the problem as a testers. Like that, they consolidated and finally they created. Why can't we create a model? That is what agile model, which we will be seeing it in the later part. 1 minute team, I got some queries. Yes, yes, you're correct. Anna. Verification, you're verifying whether you have developed it. Validation means you are testing it. Yes, actual and the expected results are same. Yeah. Regarding the link for this video, it will be always open in YouTube. So you can learn from there directly. The automation part only I'll be uploading and it will be unlisted at that time. The same links will be updated to the Canvas portal. And also I will share it in the WhatsApp group. From there, you can access it. Today, I will share it, Rohit. Okay. Okay, team. For today, we are done. I'll try to make it short class, like 1 hour class, only for manual testing because automation, it is impossible 2.5 hours for sure with 15 minutes break. But manual testing, it's all about a theory, too much of concept. If I dump it in 2 hours, it's going to be very tough. So maybe 2 more weeks, we will have a weekend class and later 1 hour class I am planning for Wednesday. Wednesday, I will come live and try to complete all the pending topics. So that's for today, team. I'm going to stop sharing it. Going to end the end stream. I hope everyone is clear. Okay, Joseph. Yeah, the Joseph's question is, could you please explain about a spiral model again? See, if you understood waterfall model, that problem is resolved in the iterative. 50 requirement is splitted into 10, 10, 10. Just for an example, I'm saying in an iterative way, incremental way, they are developing it. Now, every development is analyzed based on the risk part. See, all 50 will not be always. If you consider any web page, any website, if you go and check it, you're not going to check all 50 web pages. Definitely not. Some pages you will be frequently visiting, home pages, transaction pages, comparison pages. So those are the risk wise, it is very high. So the testing itself or development itself analyzed based on the risk. So risk based testing approach. I hope Joseph got a better clarity. If you have a same question. Okay. Okay. Ashish, Varsha, Vikram. Thank you guys. Okay, have a great week ahead. We'll see again on next Saturday. I'm going to end the stream. Thank you, team. Bye all. Okay, 1 minute, team.